Play.
Hello, hello.
Hello, hello. We are hidden.
We are hidden.
Now we are
We're
back. How you
doing?
doing, Tom? Long time no see.
Exactly. Yeah, doing double time. I hope I'm getting paid double. But
Yeah,
no,
double zero.
no, I'm not bad. I'm actually just trying to catch up on some of the tennis today because I've just been kind of in work and head in work, so I'm trying to catch up on the news. Casper Ruud ahead of this one is actually a bit of trouble, 1-all against Max Purcell, but I think he's serving to stay in the match, so it would be another poor kind of week for Casper Ruud if he was to go out to Max Purcell. Yeah, he's serving to stay in it at the moment.
Yep, I've got that actually. That match still on my screen. So we will, of course, switch to Tsitsipas Shelton as and when they get underway. I've also got some chicken that is currently being cooked in the kitchen. So if I just disappear from the stream, then you know why.
Yeah.
I mean,
fire alarm going off. Then you know.
Yeah. Yes, actually, I've got Purcell against Purcell. Of course, had a great win last week against Felix. Felix, who I thought had bounced back into the top 10 sort of tennis realm, if you like, with a win over Berrettini yesterday or 2 days ago, then comes back down to earth with a bump in losing in straight sets to Mannarino. Casper Ruud has had a sort of funny year in a way, maybe a bit like last year. I remember last year he was struggling during the clay court season, and then suddenly he's in the French Open final, and that gives a whole different perspective on his clay court season. Then during the hard court swing in North America, I think he lost to Ben Shelton, perhaps, in Cincinnati, I'm going to say a year ago, but I could be wrong.
Yeah, he did. Yeah. Maybe in 21, though.
I think it was a year ago, I think.
You're right. You're right.
But with the pandemic, I'm sure many of us are getting confused with our years. For those of you just tuning in, make sure you hit the like button. Also give Tom a follow on Twitter, or as in we should be calling it nowadays, X, at Tom Grant Journo, as you can see in his byline there. I'll also put it on the screen here. In fact, Tsitsipas Shelton have got underway, but of course, not too much drama as they're in the first game of the match. But Purcell and Casper Ruud, well, right now, Purcell is 3 points away from victory.
Yeah. Where do you put Casper Ruud? And the reason why I ask is it's a bit of a heated debate, and I know that a few of the Talking Tennis contributors got involved on X about 6 weeks ago. I think Tennis Connected was the site, and they basically came out and said, Casper Ruud is pretty much a dud in terms of, shouldn't be a top 10 player. And to be fair, after he'd made the point, or whoever had made the point about he hasn't beaten a top 10 player, it did get me thinking. And I think that night he was playing Rublev. Forgotten exactly what final it was. It wasn't Hamburg. It was the one before Hamburg. What was the event before? Because they drove together to Hamburg.
Oh, in Sweden. Yeah, I know the one. Yeah, because I think he got to the final and then got crushed by Rublev in the final.
That's my point. Yeah, it was roundabout. That's when this debate had taken place. I remember. And I'm a Casper Ruud fan. I like Casper Ruud. I think he kind of defied a lot of people's odds in terms of last year, and I think a lot of people maybe thought he was going to be a journeyman player, but I kind of liked the fact that he just kind of seemed to get his head down and get to finals and win events, and win these back-to-back ones that he likes to go to every year, these 250s. So I just wondered where your thoughts. In fact, I think he's been beaten. I think he has been beaten because they're shaking hands. Yeah, he's been beaten. So I just wondered where is Casper Ruud in his career right now? I wonder.
I mean, like a lot of these things, it's 6 to 1, half a dozen the other with the debate on him. I think it's okay to say he was a bit fortunate maybe in a couple of these Grand Slam final runs with the draws opening up. I think it's okay to say that. It's okay to highlight factual things about whether he's beaten top 10 players or not en route. And it's okay to say that outside of the slams, some of his form hasn't been great. And of course, actually, he's only ever won a 250 title. I think he's never won a 500 or 1000. So these are all okay things to say, in my opinion. Of course, some people may be being a bit mean and saying he doesn't deserve to be in a Grand Slam final. That's also not true either. You can only beat what's in front of you, and he beat 6 very capable tennis players. So I think it's okay. It doesn't mean you're beating up on Casper Ruud to suggest that, his ceiling is not as high as Yannick Sinner's. It's not as high as Stefanos Tsitsipas. When we see Tsitsipas or Sinner in the latter stages of a Grand Slam, especially on hard court, I think it's okay to suggest that's where they belong, and they have shown us a lot over the last 2 or 3 years that their ceiling suggests that they can, on any given day, with the exception of probably Novak Djokovic, beat anyone on tour. And Casper Ruud, you would argue, with the exception of the top 10, has shown us on any given day, he can beat those players. I think Casper Ruud's ceiling, Yannick Sinner, Stefanos Tsitsipas, maybe even Zverev pre-injury, team pre-confidence loss, Medvedev, of course, and Novak and Carlos. Holger Rune too. Holger Rune, I think the word that probably many people would use is, Holger Rune belongs in this discussion. Holger Rune belongs amongst these people. Whether it's still a bit early for him, we all think that he will win a Grand Slam, and he's got that in his locker one day, whether that's this year or next. Casper falls into a different category in that he is maximizing his potential. On grass, forget it. Whereas I think we do accept that other players can quickly adapt and learn to that surface, but I don't ever see Casper get this. So then it comes down to the other 3 Grand Slams. Will Casper get to a Grand Slam final again? Maybe. Will that be draw dependent? Probably. I don't see him skittling through a draw, in his. I mean, coming back to that French Open draw last year, he was very fortunate to not be in the same half as the 4 favorites for the tournament, which, because of their rankings at the time, meant they all fell, and they all fell in the same day on the quarterfinals of Novak, Rafa, Zverev, and Carlos. All 4 played the same day on the Tuesday, and it was going to be pretty clear that the winner amongst those 4 was going to probably go on and win the tournament. If it's Rafa or Novak, then Casper's got no chance in the final. And as it turned out, it was one of those 2. If it had been Carlos, maybe his inexperience, Zverev, we all know about his nerve management and other limitations as well. Maybe Casper would have stood a chance in the final. And again, this year, Casper's run to the final in Paris was probably a case of certain people going out. Holger Rune, fair enough. Holger Rune didn't handle the occasion as well as, I think it was Casper who beat him in the
quarter. It was quarterfinal.
But you're playing Zverev in the semi-finals. I think that's this year's Zverev compared to last year's. I think it's not too bad. So I do lean on that, and it doesn't mean that I don't respect him. I mean, people go, you need to put more respect on their name. Well, I completely respect him. I would love to see him win a Grand Slam, and if he does, fully deserved. You all deserve what you get out of it. So that's where I am. What about you, Tom?
Well, I think we're all forgetting that 12 months ago he was 1 match away from becoming world number 1. So you talk about Yannick Sinner and Tsitsipas's ceiling, but he was about to do something that 90% of the sports players don't achieve and become a world number 1. If he'd beaten Alcaraz, no matter how likely, I mean, he pushed him. I think was it 4. But I think we forget that he'd played himself into a position where if he'd won a one-off occasion, he would have been the world number 1, which is a massive, a massive plus on the CV. And in terms of ceiling, I don't think many people would have said at the start of 2022, Casper Ruud will be potentially a world number 1. So I worry about the game. I worry about if maybe players have worked out his game. I mean, he's got such a good forehand, and I remember the French Open final against Djokovic. I did it for talking tennis, and the forehand started well, and it was not causing Djokovic problems, but it was holding Novak back from running away with the match early. But Novak worked it out, and I just wondered if the run that he's been on, because pre-French Open it was poor, post-French Open it was poor. And I just wonder if players are working him out, and if he needs to try and figure out a plan B. It just seems a bit one-dimensional to me, does Casper, and that's something that he has got to work on. I mean, in terms of Wimbledon, I hate when players just tank. things just because they're no used to it. Like you've got to remember, Medvedev is sometimes a parody, right? You know, people see in 2021 and 2022, people took the mick about Medvedev, you know, supposedly tanking clay court events. But you know, he's came back and he won. Was it Rome he won? And you know, I kind of appreciate that. A guy who, you know, calls himself a hard court specialist. But you know, but I appreciate them. But like, see all this, like in terms of like, you know, I'm not very good in grass, so I'm gonna chuck it. It does my nothing. So I suppose, I mean, I'm not saying he did, but you know, to lose 6-love in a what, fourth set to is it fifth set maybe to Liam set, to Liam Brody. No disrespect to Brody, but you know, it's hard to take. So yeah, I mean, the Casper, I think he's got a few to work on. He just needs a plan B. I think he's just pretty one-dimensional.
Yeah, and I think in terms of that final against Novak, and I want to come to your point as well about him being close to world number one as well. But first of all, the final against Novak, he could have taken the first set, and in fact, he probably should have done. He was up a break throughout most of that first set from memory, and he had a smash quite close to the net that he didn't put away. And Novak ends up breaking him, and pretty much from that moment onwards, the match got away from him. But I also think tactically, perhaps he didn't play the best match of his life against Novak, especially from that moment onwards. I think he abandoned some of his tactics that he deployed earlier on in that match. I know that's something that Tony Nadal picked up on as well in the post-match analysis. And okay, he may have won the first set, but he probably still loses the match. Regarding the number one thing, I think it's probably the biggest anomaly. I think there are players in history that have won Grand Slams with you know, less of a ceiling, and we'll come to that point as well that I can see somebody mentioning in the chat. You know, less of perhaps making even more of their potential or making even more of a draw than him. So if he wins a Grand Slam or two, hats off to him, and that still might happen given his age and his obvious talents. But I do think that certain circumstances might have to fall his way. You know, Novak might have to be not in his way, and Carlos too, for example. Then pretty much any one of about 20 players could well be in said mix. The other thing, though, I want to mention was, and so then regarding that US Open final as well, Carlos was tanked. Carlos was tanked. You know what I mean? He was whacked out from several, I think, 3-5 set matches in a row. Yeah. And of course, at the end of the tournament, he played more minutes in a tournament than anyone else in history on the men's side. Yes, and he could have won that I think it was the fourth set to push it to a fifth set, or third set, sorry, to make it 2-1 to him. And therefore, we probably would have had a 5-set match. And who knows where that would have ended up. I think the only anomaly, really, everything else I'm fine with, you know, whether he wins a Grand Slam or not, he will be worthy of that. The number one thing did seem a bit odd, but I guess if he'd won the US Open, well, then he would have dismissed and he would have beaten a top 10 player and he would have beaten Carlos Alcaraz, irrespective of the circumstances. And you just go fine if he's number one for a week or 10 weeks or whatever that may well have been. Anyway, regarding the ceiling that I know someone in the chat is asking about, Ria's saying, how can you tell if a players maximize their potential? What are the indicators of that? I mean, this is, of course, extremely subjective, Ria, but I think what we would probably look at is somebody who can string games together, can string sets and maybe one or two matches together, and we just go, wow, that was lights out tennis. But when we talk about lights out tennis, we're often talking about someone with a particular ceiling that rarely reaches it because they're hitting the lines, they're hitting the ball with unbelievable venom. But you also know that comes to an end, and therefore that's probably what we talk about with ceiling. I mean, the other thing with Casper and that ceiling as well, I think one of his biggest weaknesses, which got exposed against Novak at the ATP finals in Turin last year, is the ability to turn defense into attack, which often Novak will show you up for if you can't do it, because you'll be in one of those rallies where Novak is kind of up 60-40 throughout the rally. You know, it's looking like Novak's going to win. You're saying to yourself, don't get involved in these rallies because probably only Carlos Alcaraz and Rafa Nadal, particularly on clay, can deal with Novak in this mood, if you like, and Roger probably on grass. Otherwise, just get out of this rally as soon as you can. But Casper couldn't get out of it. He couldn't, because the only way to get out of it is to have what is a sort of 40% defensive shot and manage to twist that dynamic of the rally round, and he just couldn't do that, and I don't think he can, and maybe never will.
I think that point you make is just to kind of, before we go on,
Sure.
I think that point you make about the defence against Novak Djokovic is one of the things that's been largely missed about Carlos in that Wimbledon final. I think even Novak was surprised about how good he was at defence. I mean, I'll be honest, I was surprised. I thought he was just, a winner maker. Do you know what I mean? Like but the fact that, I think he shocked Novak, especially after the first set, obviously, about staying in the rallies and then doing what Novak does to everybody else, being on the defence and then slowly but surely turning the gears and turning that back in his favour. I thought Carlos was superb at that at the Wimbledon final.
Indeed. What's the score on your screen, by the way?
I have Tsitsipas 30 love up on.
Okay. That's fine. If you're marginally ahead of our scoreboard, that's fine. It's when we're about 2 weeks behind, and and Stefanos is already going out in the first round of the US Open, and we're still talking about his match against Ben Shelton. That's when we're in trouble.
Well, he's just a lovely pickup, and he looks quite lively. During our discussion there, I was keeping one eye on the proceedings, and I don't know. I don't know if he usually looks. It just looks like he's really up for it. Tsitsipas, like he's bouncing about. Moving about quite quickly between points. But yeah, he's 3-2 up where I am. He just did a lovely pickup, kind of half volley pickup right at his feet. And I thought this would be an interesting one, as I mentioned on the previous stream. Stefanos, he just looked a bit all over the place against Gael Monfils last week. The forehand's his big weapon, that looked all over the place. The backhand needed a bit of work on it again, and it just is it just me, or see players doing complete mishits where the ball goes like shanking up into the air? It seems like Tsitsipas more than any other player. When you're watching his match, he pulls off one of them at least 2 or 3 times in a match. And that match last week was just kind of confounded the fact that he does that. So hopefully, I think. He confirmed. Did he confirm? Am I right in saying that Mark Philippoussis is going to be the main voice in his camp
his
now?
number one coach.
Which I think is, I wonder what happened to Dad. I think they're saying that the Dad will be back, that Petros will be back at the Grand Slams, but I don't know how that will work.
We'll see him, Tom. I think we'll see him regularly at the big events such as the Grand Slams. But he may well be sat in a row behind Mark, or he might be alongside him. But it is Mark's voice that comes first. But like we have other teams, you've got Rafa has Mark Lopez with Carlos Moya. Carlos Moya is the main coach. Mark Lopez was his second coach. He had another coach as well, whose name escapes me, and he used to be his main coach at Wimbledon. Carlos Moya, who didn't have such of a good reputation on the grass, would always skip that tournament anyway. But we always knew that Carlos Moya's voice came first, even probably when he wasn't necessarily in the box. And that's pretty much the dynamic now with Mark and his father in terms of Apostolos. You'll see Apostolos a bit like we had Carlos, for example, last week in Canada. His main coach, Juan Carlos Ferrero, wasn't there, and so you'll have that similar dynamic. It might be a bit more confusing for us because we've seen the other guy in the previous position, and the other guy happens to be his father. But if we can sort of tend to move away from that, that's for me quite uncomplicated and probably sensible.
What do you think? I mean, do you think words have been had? Because I think the reports were that Philippoussis had left.
That's probably the oddest part. Everything else is fine, but the fact that Stefanos put out the message, which he said himself, said 3 was a crowd basically, and therefore he wanted to go back to having one voice rather than 2. That's probably the only unusual element of the whole change of dynamic.
Am I reading too much into it? Maybe I'm making more of a soap opera than it actually is. But, it looks to me as, Mark Philippoussis has maybe said, it's either me or Dad, because we can't all be talking at the same time. He's then, threatened to leave. Stefanos has said, right, okay, see you later. Then he's maybe, not had a great result. I know that this game maybe, I don't know if this comes after Los Cabos or pre the win, but, then he's maybe thought, actually, Dad, this guy's played at a high level. I'd prefer to have his voice. So can you take a back seat? I mean, that's maybe me making it more of a family affair. soap opera out of it. But I just wondered if, from the outside of looking in, if that's maybe what's happening.
Stefanos did say last week that he mentioned the word emotion around his team. He said it's understandable. He is my father, but perhaps I'm looking for a bit more tranquility, I think, or was it stability, or perhaps both. I also think that the press conference, if you like, with his mother appearing for 2 years ago, I don't know if you've seen this, where Stefanos' mother appears at the press conference, and they basically start having an argument about whether players with family members having prominent positions within their team works. And Stefanos actually was taking the position of saying there aren't many examples where it works. I think he said something about Alex Zverev's father has a prominent position within his team, but he said that's about it. I mean, in the top 20, and his mother was trying to give historical examples, and and that was 2 years ago. And you thought to yourself then, this could be the end of something. But listen, I think in a way we can make more of it, and in other ways we can make less of it. I think the actual the maneuverings make sense, and we don't need to make too big a deal of it. But what is odd, as you said, is that he got rid of Philippoussis, ended up with Zachary for a few weeks in the summer. So he had another job basically, and so that's probably the unusual element to it. But the rest just makes sense to me, and I think it's, in a way, it could well be the perfect scenario. He's got a more experienced, person in terms of the top of the game in his box, giving him lots of advice and probably tweaks to his game. And he'll still have his father very close in proximity, and I'm sure he'll still lean on him as he should. Anyway, we're at 3-3 here with Ben Shelton. Tsitsipas, there is a broader discussion, and with every passing year and opportunity, the possibility that he will go his entire career without a Grand Slam. And we talked about ceilings and potentials and everything. I think he would certainly, if that does happen, would then begin a discussion of, is he the best player in the 21st century on the men's side not to win a Grand Slam singles title? And he may well be at the top of the list. I know we've got David Ferrer there and many others that would be in that discussion, Marcelo Rios as well, who obviously got to know world number one. But yeah, if you had to put your mortgage on it, would you be suggesting that he will get over that hurdle?
No, and I know I answered very quickly there, but it's something that I do, sitting there in the quieter moments of my day, think about. I just think the next generation is passing him by a little bit, to win one of these things now. All likelihood he's going to need to come. He's going to need to overcome. It depends obviously where his seeding is, and it'll always be around about 4, 5, 6, 7. But potentially he's going to have to beat Alcaraz, Djokovic, either Alcaraz, Djokovic, Holger Rune now, Sinner. Medvedev seems to have his number now and again. You don't know what Zverev is going to be like coming back. I don't know if we ever will see pre-injury Zverev, especially considering last week's kind of show against Davidovich Fokina. But my point is, I think the players that are emerging now are making it like the distance between him and conquering that mountain to be that much further. I think over the last 3 or 4 years, pre-Alcaraz, Holger Rune, pre all these guys, the French Open 2 sets up, that kind of period with no Nadal or Nadal out, that's the kind of, you're in your kind of peak there for him. He's never going to win Wimbledon. We all know that. So that really leaves, 3 out of the 4. Alcaraz will be desperate to win the French now. He's done 2, and then Djokovic kind of rules the roost. And all. I suppose what I'm saying is probably Australia will be his best bet. And it would only have to be when Djokovic either retires or Alcaraz has an off year. So it just seems to be more and more hurdles going in the way for Stefanos. And it just kind of brings me to a question I was going to ask you when you were speaking. Sure. Something I've been thinking about a lot this week is in terms of tennis and sports, individual sports like tennis and golf. They're so hard, right? In terms of mentally, 90% of your matches or 90% of your year, you're losing tennis matches. You're getting knocked out of tournaments. It's very rare that you get that high of winning an event. Same with golfers. It's a very small handful of people who win events. And I just can you have a successful tennis career without winning a Grand Slam? Can you be considered a great without winning a Grand Slam? You mentioned David Ferrer. I think he's in a lot of people's hearts, but could you consider him an all-timer? I just wondered if you can have a success, or the Grand Slam is where it's decided, because, you know, it's the longest form matches, the best players. I just wonder if you can possibly have a successful, because let's put it this way, right? See, Andy Murray, we all know the talent he's got, right?
Yeah.
And we all know that he was a once in a generation player, especially for UK tennis. If he hadn't won a Grand Slam because he was playing the against these top 3 all-time greats like GOATs, you know, would Andy Murray have had a successful tennis career? You know, like, he's won so many Masters and stuff like that. You know, I just wondered if you can have a successful tennis career. And I just wanted to gauge your thoughts.
The short answer, Tom, is yes. The slightly more nuanced answer is not sure. I will come to it. Esther's a new member, so thank you for joining the Talking Tennis membership. And the membership link is pinned in the live chat, and it's also below in the description. So feel free to become a member, and you can get perks such as exclusive videos and stuff you can do in the live chat that others cannot. First of all, the short answer, as I said, is that yes, you can have I mean, David Ferrer, for example, especially if you maximize your potential, which I think Ferrer did. I think in years gone by as well, you could, when the doubles side was really almost as prominent as a singles, you know, you could win titles there and perhaps a Grand Slam there and not in the singles, and you still probably have extremely fond memories of doing so. I also think that, you know, somebody, for example, such as Liam Brody, if he does get over that hurdle of getting into the top 100, and I'm sure lots of other players have that, other players may want to target getting into the top 10 as well, and maybe winning a title. I mean, someone like Botic van der Zandschulp would probably fall in a category slightly above Liam, but below winning a Grand Slam, and that would be, I really want to win a title. I think I would put Botic in that category. Someone like Davidovich Fokina, who I think potentials and ceilings is probably slightly higher than Botic's. Maybe for him, yeah, maybe winning a Grand Slam should be the ultimate goal and a realistic one. And if it doesn't quite work out, I guess if you've given your best and you don't have any painful sort of defeats in a final where you're up 2 sets and a break, then maybe you can still go okay. I think Andy Murray's then on another level. I think if you then get to 3-4 finals and don't win any, you know, Ons Jabeur, of course, falls into this category. Probably even more so than Casper Ruud, and that comes back to what we were talking about with potentials and ceilings. I think those players, you know, Kim Clijsters would have been another. I think those players, if they hadn't or don't get over the hurdle in Ons' case, then you can still have a successful career, because you did win titles and you did win hearts and you did so many things that we will remember. And arguably Ons, for example, will win more memories than people who've won 2 or 3 slams, for example. Yeah. But there will be some regret. You know, Ons will be thinking, I was up a set against Rybakina. I could have got a 3rd set in that New York final, and I was the favorite and had the tools to win that Wimbledon final in 2023. So then I guess it's regret. You still have a successful, I think that's probably the word that I would add for Andy Murray if he hadn't got over the hurdle as well. It would be just, what if?
Yeah. And well, let me flip that then for you, John, and we'll go back to the tennis. It's 4-all at the moment, as you can see on the screen. And I'll ask you a couple of questions about Ben Shelton in a second, but let me flip that then. Andy Roddick, is he a great? Because, you know, 1 Grand Slam title, all these Grand Slam finals. Had that again, probably going back to, did he have the greatest, you know, game out there? But he's won a Grand Slam where others haven't. So I just wonder, you know, it's the flip side of this. He can walk about saying I'm a Grand Slam winner. Do you know what I mean? So
yeah. I mean, first of all, the word again, it's quite subjective, greats. But you know, if you've won, so great stroke legends. I think if you've won a slam across 3 surfaces, I think that's a good one, a good feather in your cap, such as Andre Agassi has.
Yeah, fair enough. Yeah.
Pete Sampras doesn't have that, but he won 14. So then that adds to that. And I think if you're in double figures, you know, if you're in double figures or you've won, even if it's just 4 Grand Slams, I really think you can then say, boom. If you had an era of your own or you're part of an era, I think that can also add to it, such as Andy Murray as part of the Big Four, whether that was for 1, 2, 3 years, it existed. So there's eras involved there. This is my subjective category. Andy Roddick probably doesn't fall into the greats category. But I also think the difference in a way between winning, say, 1 Grand Slam and 3, or 1 Grand Slam and 5, it's there, but you've won a Grand Slam. You know, I had Michael Stich on the show recently. He only won 1, and he does have some thoughts about the French Open final that he got to, and 1 or 2 thoughts there. That's the one that got away. He also got to a US Open final. He doesn't feel as though that got away. He just felt he was never going to win it. So yeah, but ultimately he's good. He won a Grand Slam. You know, Goran Ivanisevic, you know, lost a few finals, but he got over the hurdle. He won a Grand Slam. The other side of the net that particular day, Pat Rafter, he's okay. Won a US Open. Would love to have had a Wimbledon, of course, and that was very close. That particular. But I think once you've won a Grand Slam, that's why I know she got criticised, but I kind of agree with Emma Raducanu. When in that press conference she gave at Wimbledon last year, when she said, "I've already won a Grand Slam." The pressure's on the people that have never won one. You know, Elena Fernandez will be always thinking, what if, and maybe one day, hopefully I get over the Anjabeur, of course, and all these other players. They are the ones that really should have the most pressure on them, and probably do. Maybe Emma Raducanu has other things, especially regarding the British media and the way people analyze her and her personality. But winning a Grand Slam is what it's all about. If you win 1 or even 10, the gap between 1 and 10 is probably not as big as the gap between 0 and 1, if that makes sense.
Yeah. No, it does. So talking about ceilings then, we've got Ben Shelton currently on court. Tsitsipas, what is his ceiling? 20 years old, you know, hadn't left the country, the States this time last year, went to Australia, got to a quarter final, you know, lost to compatriot Tommy Paul. Went a bit quiet though since then. And I just wondered what his ceiling is. He's got, I think, the swashbuckling game, doesn't he? You know, power. Looks a lot of fun on the court. Talking about ceilings then, where are we going with him?
He could well go on to have a great career. My short answer, I've always got short and long answers, is honestly don't know is the short answer, but I'm going to do my best in a slightly longer version to answer it. I think he's got a pretty high ceiling. I think also unlike with 1 or 2 of the slightly older players on the tour, whether it be Felix, who I think is 23, or perhaps Stefanos, who is 25, I think we could see a lull for another year or so. I mean, because we're in a mini lull at the moment regarding Ben. I saw some stats regarding his win-loss record since Australia, where he had a great run. It's okay. It's fine. He's only been on the tour for a year. The only thing is that probably some people are looking at Holger and to some extent Carlos. That is not the norm, and I probably would put their ceilings at the moment a little bit higher. But listen, Roger Federer and Novak Djokovic were probably not as advanced as Ben was at that age. Perhaps Roger, maybe. There was always an unbelievable amount of talent there, and that was always going to come to fruition as long as he got the other side of the game right. Ben has certain parts of his game that he has to improve. He's obviously a big server. The return, for example, can be an issue, and I think consistency too. But and I wonder if maybe clay may always not be his surface. But come the North American hardcourt season, I think he's going to be there or thereabouts for quite some time. You know, he's unlucky a little bit with the draw in Cincinnati, and he may well go out today, and you know, he may well go out early in New York. But he also could be a quarterfinalist in New York, and that's pretty good already. 12 months on the tour, and we're going, if he's in the quarterfinals in New York, we won't be surprised.
Yeah. Well, I mean, again, before we came on to this one, I had a thought about who could have taken this one, and I've got a sneaky suspicion. I mean, he just previously double faulted there, but he's battled back, and he's 30-15 up now where I am, and the serve is pretty powerful as well. Like, you know, I don't think I've ever really given him credit. I think I was maybe looking at the other parts of his game, but the serve has got a bite to it. And I know that sometimes these players, you know, it looks like he sometimes just still goes for the second serve in terms of, you know, just doesn't care about, you know, trying to get it in, and just goes, you know what, I'll lose the point here as long as I can get this free point if it does come off. So he's 40-15 up, pushing Tsitsipas about the court a little bit here, just again because of the power of that first serve.
And both players been pretty consistent. Neither of them have faced a break point in the match so far. Ben's been serving slightly bigger and possibly better than Steph, but also very few unforced errors from both players, just the three of them. You mentioned Steph, by the way, and the sort of typical unforced error that he has, which is the shank, which for those of you not sure what shank means in the chat, basically mistimed, and the ball ends up flying off the frame of the racket often and disappearing somewhere into the stratosphere. I can give you an answer to that as well, or I can add something. Is with Steph, possibly more than double-handed backhanders in particular, it's all about timing and taking the ball early. And so as a result, he's taken that ball on the rise and probably at a slightly faster pace than someone who does a double-handed backhand and is not taking the ball quite so early. With that timing and that precision, hence the shanks. I mean, even Roger used to sometimes do it as well. It does happen on the forehand side as well, which possibly is also an element of confidence involved in terms of, again, timing. You need to be feeling good, if you like, about your game, and that's any sense of hesitancy, and we may see a few shanks. So yeah, listen, I'm gonna go backstage, but I'll be pulling some strings. Don't worry, Tom. So if you can sail this ship home, and I'll be in the background, and I'm sure I'll be joining the live chat.
I will do it. And before we go, John, any tennis defeats so far this week at all? Any losses?
Oh, I'm glad you asked, actually, because actually so far it's not been too bad. I've only played once, which was yesterday. And it was doubles. I mean, there was a defeat involved. We had two doubles matches, basically. The first one I lost, the second one I won. We mixed and matched the pairings a bit, and generally I took that as a draw, if you like. But yes, that was a bruising defeat last week, and I'm keen for revenge. I was actually offering him a chance to replay or have another match, not replay, but have another match. And he's developed a mysterious cold. So I'm wondering if he's... if he's like Riddick Bowe, if those in the chat, or perhaps even yourself, Tom, can remember Riddick Bowe, who was trying to avoid a fight with Lennox Lewis for many years and ended up famously throwing a WBO, I'm going to guess, belt into a trash can somewhere, probably in the US, because basically he had to get rid of it because he refused to fight Lennox Lewis.
Okay. And
so anyway,
was the belt ever recovered? Was the belt ever recovered?
I guess it ended up in Lennox's hands somehow. And I think they did eventually get in the ring. And I think Lennox beat him, if memory serves right. But and fingers crossed, me and Flo end up on a tennis court again pretty soon. So
good.
I'm optimistic that we'll be playing each other again within the next week or two. Tom, thanks very much and good luck. Man.
Okay. Okie doke, guys. You are left here with Tom Grant Journal. Of course, give me a follow if you can, and we will sail this ship home of the Tsitsipas Shelton match, and we will just talk all things tennis. Anything you want to pose or have the wider group have a chat about, do put it in the chat. Let us know, as Rhea has asked. What players, which of the top players already maximised their potential, i.e. reached their ceiling? So in my opinion, I think, as John alluded to, I think, players like Tsitsipas, who have, won 1,000 events. I think he's won 1,000 events in his career. And it's just like, getting to a Grand Slam final, being 2 sets up. My point was that was... his time, his chance, that was him reaching his potential. I don't think if he had won that Grand Slam at the French, I don't think anyone would have batted an eyelid and thought, that's a one-off winner or a surprising winner. Probably people would have said, he would have, gone on to win more. But since then, since he didn't, and the emergence of the likes of Alcaraz and Holger Rune, Jannik Sinner now, reaching his potential. I don't see players like Tsitsipas winning another Grand Slam. So, or I say another Grand Slam, a Grand Slam, a single Grand Slam. I think he's just going to have too much work to do. And listen, I may stand corrected that he's been in the Oz final as well, hasn't he? But yeah, I just think that until he and the whole Mark Philippoussis thing, it might change things. I don't think he has. I think there's too much to do in terms of talent. I think that's his ceiling. I think his ceiling is Masters 1000. So I think that let's have this discussion, because ceiling is subjective. But let's say, okay, Manarino, okay, there's a kind of ongoing joke that Adrian Manarino, his ceiling is winning 250 events, all right? And that's probably right, getting to third or fourth round of Wimbledon. And that's probably his ceiling, all right? And that's no disrespect. He's a top 100 player. He's a very, very talented man. So, yeah, I think Casper Ruud, we started off the chat about Casper. I just don't see, I think he's very one-dimensional. I think, he's probably exceeded where his ceiling was in terms of getting to these 3 Grand Slam finals. Again, I just don't see him as the player who will win one of these big events. These are big events. The top players in the world, 7 matches, 5 setters. You're going to have something about you. You don't kind of sail through these without a bit of luck as well. So yeah. Players who have reached a ceiling, of course, team. I think he hit his ceiling and it's just kind of his career's nosedived a little bit over the last 18 months. It's very pre-injury. I think he probably would have said his ceiling is a Grand Slam, but he had a poor record against I think top 5 players. Did Zverev. So really, again, it's subjective. Would have Grand Slam, been deserved? Yes, if he had won one. But am I sitting there going, he'll go down as one of the greatest players not to win a Grand Slam? No. I think his ceiling is semi-finals of Grand Slams. So anyway, Rhea, I know that's a long-winded answer, and that's all just my opinion, and I'm here to totally get you shot down and proved otherwise with facts, figures, or opinion. So yeah, I think there is certain players who you go, he's a Grand Slam semi-finalist, or he's a Masters 1000s winner, or poor old Adrian Manarino, he's a 250 winner, that sort of thing. So yeah, that's probably how I kind of, in my kind of weird way of thinking about players and their abilities. I think you've got talent or you don't, and I think that's why I mentioned it in a stream last week. I think that's why you might see players like Holger Rune, right? He won the Masters 1000 in Paris last year, and then there was a lot of hype about him. They were thinking there already is talk of a new big 3 in terms of Alcaraz, Sinner, and Holger Rune. And some people might be thinking, why are we talking about Holger Rune so much? Because he hasn't really done anything. He's won a couple of, I think, 500s, and he's got to some finals in the Masters 1000s. I know he's won that one in Paris, I mentioned. But some people might go, why are we talking about this guy so much when there's other players doing things like Medvedev, in the springtime? And I think the reason being is and again we touched on it last week, is let's just put Djokovic is, I'm not saying he's on his way out, but he's in the twilight of his career. And you've got Alcaraz, who is going to be the number one and going to be the kind of dominant player, the guy who is at the pinnacle of the sport. So you're looking at the players who can battle Carlos Alcaraz. Now, I know he could beat Tommy Paul last week, and interestingly enough, he is going to be facing Tommy Paul again this week, as per their wins yesterday. But the way that Holger Rune and Jannik Sinner can hit through Alcaraz in terms of the inside out forehand from the midcourt, that's what the kind of tennis pundits are looking at, and they are saying things like I just saw your answer, Rhea. But that's why they're saying that these players are the real deal. Holger Rune is the real deal. Jannik Sinner, because they can see that in a couple of years' time, based on the game that they can see already, if they continue on the momentum and the rise and the way that their game is shaping up, these will be the players that will have the kind of lifelong memorable battles over the next 10 years. And there might still be players to emerge in this. So this is in no way a black and white kind of, these 3 will be the dominant players. In 2 years' time, we might have another couple of players coming through. I know there's some high hopes in America. I think is it Alex Mickelson, something like that. And then you've got, and then I'm unsure. Arthur Fields. What's the thoughts on that team? I've heard some good things about him and the power and the physique and the athleticism of this guy. I thought he'd beat Hugo Humbert yesterday, his compatriot, and just a little bit shocked. I know he got to the Hamburg final against Zverev, but again, there's talk of him being, in this group of top players over the next 5 to 10 years. It's because people are looking at the game and the way they can hit through the court. and they've got more dimensions to their game than just, you know, again, I don't want to go to Casper Ruud, but he's got a strong forehand. And just to go back to Rhea, and I'll go back to the tennis because we're in a tie break at the moment, and I'll talk us through some of that. I actually am a big Mannarino fan. I like him. I just say, like, you know, the guy goes about, you know, Newport, and, you know, he gets that win, and that's his ceiling. If you won a 500, we'll all be in shock. You know, I would say as far maybe Dan Evans winning a 500, it's probably above his ceiling. And again, that's not been detrimental. I think Dan Evans is a top player, but, you know, I think he was as surprised as any. Strahari, how are we doing? Strahari, a talking tennis contributor. Good to have you here listening in. And please do, Strahari, let us know your thoughts on anything I have to say. I'm conscious I've rambled on a little bit there after some good questions posed by Rhea. And I do hope I'm saying your name correctly, Rhea. I am terrible for pronouncing names, which isn't the greatest trait to have when you are trying to get ahead in tennis journalism, given all the names that are out there. So I'll focus on the tennis for a couple of minutes. Tsitsipas has a mini break, as you can see on the screen, and he's just served that out with a strong first serve down the tee, which Shelton could only stretch and block return long. So Tsitsipas now 3-1 up. I mentioned that I had a wee feeling for Ben Shelton pre-match, but I think, you know, Tsitsipas has looked really energetic, as if he's out there with a point to prove, possibly from last week's, you know, shock defeat to Gilmore Face. Although saying that, he tried to rush it into the net, tried to sneak in. Ben Shelton, you know, just powered a forehand return into the middle of the court where Steph was approaching, and he can only put a volley way long and wild. He was on the stretch, and the mini break has been won back by Ben Shelton, who now has the ball in hand. So 2-3, just the way that Tsitsipas is looking, you know, there might be a new direction, as discussed with Tsitsipas. You might start to see a couple of tweaks here and there. He's looking to go down a different route, you know, smack bang in the middle of his career, likely. At 25, he's got the mini break here again. Really good return on the Ben Shelton second serve, played it to the Shelton feet. Shelton could only do a kind of forehand spin drop shot looking nothing that Tsitsipas just put away. Let's have a look. Yeah, so good return by Tsitsipas. It's a forehand. He was actually, I mean, that shot by Ben Shelton. You know, he's just begging to be hit through there. Maybe a bit of inexperience. These two have never met before. You know, this is the first time they've met. And, you know, he should know to keep it off the Tsitsipas forehand, and he put that away nicely. Did the Greek 2-4. So I'll give you a couple of stats in between set 1 and set 2. I'll give you stats on the match. And did a wee bit of research about this particular fixture pre-match. Ben Shelton has just put away a smash after serving down the tee, a block return by Stefanos. So he's still in this 3-4, now to 4-3 with Stefanos. He has 2 serves to extend his lead. But, you know, Ben Shelton isn't going anywhere, and this guy has a bit about him in terms of, you know, not giving up. Seems like a kind of pumped guy who can easily get the crowd behind him if wanted. I'm sure he would have enjoyed a night match rather than, I think it's, you know, what, about 2-3 in Cincinnati time. Max, we're back in, and Max is talking about movies again. Of course, last Friday we were somehow onto 90s movies. Who knows how or why, but that was the way the chat had gone. How do I say this name? Is it Double? Again, I've told you, not very good at names, so I apologise if I've absolutely butchered that one. I'll go with Double, and the Double Quattro. So who's going to win in your opinion? Okay, good question. Very easy for me to comment now that I'm seeing that Steph as the ball. He's watched this all the way. He's put away a smash. Ben Shelton, good defense. He's got this one again, but the second smash. Okay, easy for me to say now that Tsitsipas is 6-3 3 set points on the Shelton serve. But 409. Thank you, Kathy. It's 409. I said 2 or 3. Apologies again. I seem to be insulting many people. So apologies for that. But yeah, I thought before the match, double that Shelton might just nick it in 3, and he still might. But Steph sees this point out. He's in a very strong position. As Ben Shelton, he's taking the initiative. Shelton, poor drop shot though. Steph gets the ball. Oh, what a point! Oh, Steph punches the air. Just to talk you guys through that. Shelton again, a poor choice of shot. If I'm being honest, he tried a drop shot when the ball was begging to be hit with Tsitsipas on the run and the stretch. I think Shelton basically thought that there's no chance this guy's getting back, so he went for the drop shot. Steph was there in plenty of time. Again, didn't really take advantage of the opportunity given. He tried to go down, slice the backhand down the line. Shelton read it, and then the smash by Tsitsipas wins him the first set, 7-6. No breaks of serve. And as John alluded to, there has been no break points. So both players pretty strong with the ball on their racket. They are taking a quick break. It doesn't look as if anyone has chosen to use the facilities. So as they do that, I'll just give you a quick rundown of the first set stats for anyone just joining us. There seems to be a few of us, but yes, I agree, Kathy. Yes, Ben shot selection. Ben Shelton shot selection. That's a tongue twister. Ben Shelton's shot selection has been poor. Going for the drop shot when so I'm just re-seeing. I'm looking at the point for the set point again. Stefanos was miles out, so I can see why he chose to opt for the drop shot. But he's a quick guy as the Greek, and the drop shot was poor anyway. There was so much time for him to get up there, and he punched the air. But looking at the service, of course, both are at 62% of their first serves in, really even match. 23 out of 37 for Stefanos Tsitsipas, and 21 out of 34 first serves in. So 62%. But the first serve points is the kind of game changer, and it tells the tale as to why this match has been so tight. The first serve points won from Steph, 21 out of 23, 91%, and 19 out of 21 serves for Ben Shelton. That's 90%. They're pretty spectacular serves. So service stats. And even the second serve points won, Steph's won 50% of them. So when he's had 14 occasions, he's had to pull out a second serve, and he's won half the points. And Shelton's an even better 54%, 7 out of 13. He starts set 2 with the ball in hand, Ben Shelton. And hopefully we get a bit of action on the returns. I'm sure both players will be trying to take the initiative early, but Steph in a very strong position, and the players are playing the ball up the centre of the court, just feeling their way into this rally. Steph tries to change the angle up a bit, puts it inside out into the corner, goes back towards Shelton. Stefanos inside out again. Ben Shelton's running from side to side. Steph moving him about. Shelton with a forehand. He's got back in the rally a bit, and Steph goes for a sliced backhand, and it goes wide. Shelton's point. But that did look as if, Tsitsipas wants this one done as quickly as possible. Cincinnati. Now, Kathy, you have told me before where you are. Remind me and remind those who don't know where you are in terms of your distance between Cincinnati. I don't know, are you giving us a warning from the ground that, there could be trouble ahead in terms of, weather? These tournaments over the last few weeks, the rain has played a big part in events. And of course, the end of Montreal last week, a little bit of a kind of cloud over it. Excuse the pun. Oh God, my camera's gone again. Back 2 seconds. There we go. Back. Apologies for that. yeah, the rain seems to be playing havoc in North America right now. What is going on? I thought you guys had really, really warm summers, or was that just me being from Scotland and thinking everywhere else is hot bar our little country? So yeah, hopefully they get a full night and a full day's play in Cincinnati at the Western and Southern. How is Venus Williams getting on? I'll go and try and see. Somebody had said earlier on she was 5-1 up in her match. And does anybody want to update me before I find the stream? There we go. So how's she getting on? Wow, 6-1 first set win for Venus Williams. And I'm at 2-0 against the Chinese Beijing and the ladies' side of the event. So looking, Shelton has wrapped up that. Oh, there we go. John's kindly got that on screen. What a kind of performance at Venus Williams, 43 years old. And you know what I really love? I found out for the first time, and you know, you guys, I'm sure will have known this, but I found out Venus Williams' middle names recently, and I just thought these are the greatest middle names I've ever heard. Can anybody tell me before I enlighten the group of Venus Williams' middle names? And don't Google it. You're not allowed to Google it. If you Google it, I'll know. But anyway, yeah, found out Venus Williams' middle names. And yeah, my middle name is James, by the way, just before we get into the middle name discussion. But for those who might have already known and those who didn't, it's Ebony Star, Venus Ebony Star Williams. Did you know that? I didn't know that. But yeah, what a quality middle name she has, and she's doing great for herself here in Cincinnati. 43 years old and still going strong with a bit of sass. Somebody who's tried to put too much sass on their forehand was Ben Shelton there. He was on the run and Tsitsipas 30 love up on his serve. The second set so far going the same way as the first. Tsitsipas is in a very fluorescent top, white, green, luminous yellow, blue, dark blue, white. I've already said white, but you know, looking suave as Stefanos, but he puts that one down the tee. Another strong serve. I think we sometimes forget just how well Stefanos can serve. And we spoke about, John and I, about Ben Shelton's serve. So maybe this isn't too much of a surprise that this is turning into, you know, a serve bot kind of match. Was it Madrid? Was it Madrid where Stefanos served 37 first serves in a row? I think it might have been Madrid early in the clay court season. It was against Dominic Thiem, I know that. Or was it against Dominic Thiem? I think it was. I think it was against Dominic Thiem. 37 first serves in a row is pretty amazing. And again, it just shows you that the Greek guy can serve well, and maybe we underestimate his serve sometimes. Well, and as I say, so Ben Shelton now has the ball in hand. You can see on your scoreboard 1-0. And yes, Tsitsipas win. Yeah, I think he is a strong front runner, and I think he should see it out from here. But we don't know. Ben Shelton, playing well. Ben Shelton, he is not out of this. To be fair, this time he's the one pushing his opponent around the court. Serving volley there by the American. Serve out wide. Came into the court early. I think he's just struck. Totally mistaken, but he's just. Oh no, he didn't. He just avoided hitting a lady in the crowd that was sitting directly behind Stefanos Tsitsipas. And yeah, the players now exchanging forehands cross court. Tsitsipas is going to challenge this, I think. Is he able to challenge? I thought it was electronic line calls. Of course, the US Open now. Less than 2 weeks away. So exciting times. I think it's the 28th. Does it start 28th, 29th? So yeah, fun event. Let us know your thoughts on who you think will go far. As Ben Shelton, brilliant forehand. The lefty basically, read the serve, read the return, and inside it, out it into the far corner. So we still go with serve, still no break points. Ben Shelton game point now to take a 2-1 lead in the second set. He goes long with his first serve, and he loads. Takes a step across the court a little bit. He's probably going to go down the tee here. He doesn't. He body serves it. Tsitsipas had plenty of time there, and went long. So it's 2-1 to Ben Shelton. Still no break points. The games are pretty quick. I mean, this match so far. How long have we had it? It's what do the ATP have it as 58 minutes. So, I mean, this match so far is as long, to be fair, as the Swiatek Danielle Collins match. If you didn't see it earlier on, a bagel and a breadstick for Iga Swiatek. Just looking at from around the grounds, Maria Sakkari is through. She wins in 3. Had an up and down couple of weeks. Of course, Danielle Collins beat her last week in a bit of a strenuous match, shall we say, for the Greek star. She looked as if she wasn't too pleased, although she's smiling now. But she had a bit of a swagger as she approached the net there. Of course, Tsitsipas and Ben Shelton, as I said, never met before. But Tsitsipas has won 10 ATP Tour titles. And I mentioned the 2 ATP 1000 events that he's won, both at Monte Carlo. And he is quite a quirky stat. He's the youngest of 30 players to defeat Djokovic. And that was at the 2018 Toronto third round. Federer and the Australian Open, and Nadal sweeping the big 3 before he's 21. So the guy has game. And I think at that point, when he's beaten them before 21, you're thinking this guy is going to be a future Grand Slam winner. But 4 or 5 years later, as I said, I don't know if it will happen. Okay, Matt, it's a good question. And I feel a little bit, of a cheat to say this because I didn't watch it. I didn't see any of it. It was through the night where I am working during the day. And I think last week was it the Friday night or the Thursday night. I missed it. I just saw the result when I woke up. However, I'd mentioned to John earlier on about Carlos. I thought it was a mistake from him to play the Hopman Cup. Whether or not he'd signed up to it pre-Wimbledon is probably what happened. And I just worry, in terms of why he plays all this tennis when he's now got the luxury to sit back a little bit. He had the Hurkacz match, which was a 3-set. He had a 3-set last night against Jordan Thompson. I think it'll be a different story, okay? And it's purely because of the talent of this boy. I suppose the team will have went through and found the faults where he went wrong. But Tommy Paul is a top player. I've been fascinated by the guy for a while now. I think after he beat Nadal last year, I think he might have been in Montreal. Might have been last year he beat Nadal at a Masters, and Tommy Paul, good player. So he's got some weapons as well. Quite a good tactical player. Can work out his opponents. So I really don't know. I hope Alcaraz, because I think there'll start to be questions about what's going on with Carlos. He just looks so good at Wimbledon, so far ahead of most players other than Djokovic, and approaching the first defence of his Grand Slam, and he can't get past Tommy Paul. It'll be a bit of a shock if he does 2 in a row. And I think it'll be an intriguing one. I'll maybe try and catch that one as well. I need to kind of time it right in terms of maybe going to my bed a little bit earlier and getting up through the night. I imagine that's, I can't complain. Most of the tennis year is in Europe, isn't it? And us over here get the kind of kinder match time. So yeah, I don't mind this time of year at all. it means like I can work during the day and watch the tennis at night. So yeah, I don't know. What's your thoughts, Max? Where do you think that one will go? Do you think Carlos will be out to prove a point? Maybe worked in some of the things. Where did they win and lose it last week, in your opinion? Back to the match at hand. Well, Max has a think of that, and anyone else, Ghost or Kathy or Rhea, if you guys are still with us, where are your thoughts in terms of what's going on in Cincinnati and who's looking good? What are the shocks for you? Of course, Sinner going out, Rude going out today. Earlier on, it's a funny wee kind of period, isn't it? It's I think Miles, friend of the show, Miles had mentioned earlier on that this part of the season, a lot of players, most of the players have played 35, 40 plus matches. It's a tough time of the season, and a lot of players have travelled quite a lot now, and people might be keeping themselves for the US Open. Of course, the final Grand Slam of the year, the last chance of properly getting their name into the kind of folklore, really. So I don't know if the players think like that, in terms of their approach. But I don't know. It's just an odd time of the season. You often see, a few shocks here and there. I think, who was it? Was it Karina Busta that won the Canadian one last year? And nobody would have said that at the start of the week. So yeah, I think this time of year, I think the top players, you'll see them, rise to the top again. Still lurking. So yeah, I don't know. What's your thoughts? Where is this one going? I said earlier on, I think Novak. I think John maybe was maybe a little bit shocked I'd said Novak, but I just think in terms of these guys' mentality, champions, they don't like newcomers. They don't like people. Think about it. You're doing your job, right? And then a new kid starts, and they become. Everyone's talking about the new kid and how good this new kid is. It's going to bother you. Probably bother me in my work. I'd be like, who are you? And it'd make me up my game. So I think that's the same, but just in a whole other level. Anyway, I'll speak about the tennis. Steph is celebrating. I think that one was a kind of decent winner there from Stefanos, but we're still with. Oh no, Tsitsipas is no, he hasn't. Sorry, we're still with serve. And I'm just having a look. Still no break points as we go into what the 18th game, is it? Yeah. The 19th game of the match. No breaks of serve so far. How many aces have we had in this one? We've had 5 for Ben Shelton and 4 for Stefanos Tsitsipas. Both players still at 93. In fact, they're the exact amount of first serve points won. 27 out of 29 of their first serve points they are winning. 93% each. That is an amazing stat this far into the match. The fact that they're on the exact amount. 93%, 27 out of 29. As Tsitsipas' second serve, looking lively, Ben Shelton, that'll be his point in the match. That will give him a G up. And to describe that one for you, it was a good point construction, really. He got on top of the second serve, started to dominate the rally, moved Tsitsipas about. He then set himself up for the winner by doing a sliced backhand to the back corner, the ad court back corner. And he just read where Tsitsipas was going and put an almighty winner down the line. He's got another Steph second serve. He's love 15 up here, and he's still he's frustrated because he put a more than makeable forehand long, and that is a let off for Stefanos Tsitsipas. No, I remember watching that Borna Coric match against Tsitsipas last year, and it was a rotten final. I remember that, it just was like Stefanos, did they show up? I think, there was just, if I stand corrected, there was 2 breaks of serve. in each set, and then it was game over. It was a bit of a dud final, and as I say, it's a strange time of year. You know, I think last year in these 2 weeks we had Carreño Busta and Borna Coric. So, you know, strange winners considering who was around. Tsitsipas has won that with a smash that was totally misread by Shelton, 40-15, and still we go on. It's looking likely to have no breaks of serve going into the 20th game of the match. But yeah, I agree, Ria. I'm agreeing with you quite a lot tonight. So yeah, good point. Yeah, I think I wouldn't say crapshoot. I think, you know, we're still going to watch it. We still like the stories that are told, the stories that are made, and it's a great opportunity for, you know, some of the kind of lesser known players. As Shelton puts away a Steph second serve with an almighty cross court forehand return winner. Really nice stuff by Ben Shelton. He's 40-30, but he does have a glimpse of a chance here. 95 miles per hour was that return winner. And Steph sees it out. Good first serve, block return, goes long by Shelton. And yeah, it is 3-all into the second set, much like the first, very tight. And yeah, Steph is up to 94% of first serve points won. Second serve points, Shelton's made a dent into it now. But the two still trading blows when it comes to serve. They just need somebody to kind of open up that doubt with forcing a break point or something, or doing something on the Shelton serve. Looking like a warm one there out in Cincinnati. Where is Kathy, my weather watcher? What is happening in the North American weather forecast right now? Have we got thunderstorms somewhere looking about? Will we all look up the Cincinnati weather together? Let's look it up together, shall we? Right, Cincinnati's weather, hour by hour. So we're looking like we've got a clear night tonight in terms of going on 5 o'clock, 4:30 at the moment. Got that one, Kathy. Going on 5 o'clock, we're at 27 degrees. Then it's going to start to come down a little bit, but we're in sunshine all the way. I know, Kathy, you're not near Cincinnati, but I thought you might be able to give us a little bit of insight into what the weather is like. You're a lot nearer than I. That's all I'll say. You're a lot closer to Cincinnati than I. Ben Shelton, wild there with a forehand. And it's 30-15, still in control of the game, mind you. And still we go on. This will be the last time I say it, I promise, but still we go on with no break point. As Steph tries a lob, it goes long, and we have... Okay, there we go, Ria. You're not far from Cincinnati. So there we go. We have our correspondent on the ground. And we're looking like it's going to be a decent night of weather, which means there'll be a plethora of tennis still to come tonight. So after this one, who else have we got tonight coming up? I think we've got a few good ones. We've of course got Novak Djokovic against Alejandro Davidovich Fokina. On the ladies' side, who else we still have to come upcoming? Who else? Go on. Okay, we've got Ostapenko Rybakina. That'll be tasty, that one. Donna Vekic Azarenka. Another decent match. Mertens Boskova and Paulina Bushka. So you've got Holger Rune tonight, Mackenzie McDonald, of course, knocking out Raonic, and Andrew Rublev last week. Holger Rune going out to Marcus Giron. So that one could be closer than we think. I think, again, I'd hope that Holger Rune will have a decent week here, just to try and, make sure that people don't forget. I'm sorry, I'm looking for my charger because I just got a wee notification that my battery power mode is on. So give me 1 second. Just to update you on where we are. We're at the changeover anyway. Oh, didn't know my camera had gone. It's 2 seconds, folks. There we go. Okay, so we're back. 4-3 Ben Shelton. As I look for my charger and I find it. You don't get this with... why does this keep going off? We're back again. There we go. Right. Hopefully that's the last time. It seems to be whenever I move my mic, for some reason, the temperamental camera, which is connected into the same kind of adapter as the mic, for some reason disappears. But yeah. So where are we with what's going on in the tennis? Okay. So still to come tonight, as I said to you, we have Djokovic, we have Holger Rune, Mackenzie McDonald. We've got Tiafoe versus Wawrinka, another really good match. Oh, I need to correct something. I was saying Laszlo Djere had put out Casper Ruud on the earlier stream, and it was in fact Dusan Lajovic. So apologies to both Djere and Lajovic. Just got those two slightly wrong. Of course, the winner of Tsitsipas, Ben Shelton, decent chance to progress as well. No disrespect, but Alexei Popyrin and Ruusuvuori await the winner of this one. One of the two of them await the winner of that one, and that will be on tomorrow as well. Well, God, if they're watching now, they'll not be happy with me. Yeah, okay. Right, so where are we with this match? Shelton, really, this should be the game where he looks to try and force something. I'm just looking. Oh, Hurkacz is about to serve for the second set. Is that what I'm seeing on the screen? John just going through the recent results today. Tsitsipas is what's going on the tennis. Tsitsipas is having a word with the umpire. Anyone know me being commentary-less? I missed that one. Looking at other results, we might see a quick replay, but he doesn't look too happy with something. Tsitsipas, but he's got on with it. The match is an hour and 15 minutes long. We're a set and a half into it, which is decent. Ben Shelton, again, that one looked long by Steph. It was long. Shelton fist pumps the air. He is. You can tell this is the important game for him. If he can get this one, he'll be serving for the second set. And Tsitsipas, what's he doing now? He's in talking to the crowd. Is that his box? What is going on? Somebody what update is they're all smiles. Umpire, Tsitsipas. I looked around for 1 second, came back, and he was talking to somebody in the crowd directly behind him. I don't know if are they saying something, or I would love somebody to update me about what is going on. Looks very interesting, but without commentary, I'm a little bit lost as to what is going on here. He's still chatting. Just for anyone who's not watching, the crowd are giving him an applause. Still chatting to the umpire. Looks like he's pleading with the umpire for something about his ear, so he's hearing something. It might be coughing or something from somebody directly behind him. He was in talking to them. It looked like it was fairly light-hearted. There's three ladies in hats. He's apologising to them. They're saying, no, it's okay. He's apologising again. Again, they get the lady. It looks like it's very cordial. And so no animosity, no hard feelings. It seems to be a very friendly exchange from Steph. But Shelton has the early advantage here. Love 15. He had it on the last game, and Steph served it out. He's not going to do it here. He's on a second serve. Shelton made to wait a couple of minutes by whatever happened there. I wonder if this is maybe put Steph off, because it looks as if that went long, although it's not been called. Shelton had a look at it. Steph had a look at it. Very, very kind of close to the line. It must have been in with the electronic called it like a Glaswegian pub disagreement. Exactly. Exactly that. the old Glasgow kiss. Can't beat them. So Steph, under a bit of pressure here, he's rising to the occasion though, and you just wonder, Shelton. He's had a couple of looks at love 15, and Steph has just basically pulled out the serve. He needs to take advantage of when Steph's not get the first serve. He comes into the net. It looks like the first serve has just been called wide. Okay, thank you, Kathy. Kathy, not our correspondent on the ground, as Rhea is closer, but Kathy keeping us updated with what is going on. I think he thought the crowd was trying to put him off, but he apologised again. He looked like everything was nice and friendly, and yeah, there was apologies all round. I bet you'll be glad to get out at this end of the court as he serves. He hits the net. His second serve loaded. He leads 40-15. He'll be happy to get this. This is a dangerous game he was facing. As cross court forehand, backhand sliced by Shelton goes long. He knew it straight away. He started walking to his towel box. What is Vance saying? Hurkacz is a predictable player in the ATP right now. In some ways, win or lose, it will usually be the same type of match. The score lines, regardless of the caliber of the opponent, suffers tournament level, etc. It doesn't matter if he's playing number 118 or Djokovic. So yeah, I think that's why sometimes, that way when Hurkacz, I think he's good for the tour. He's obviously I think a lot of the players say he's one of the friendliest guys on the tour. I heard somebody say he had a Q&A the other day. Which was kind of pretty bland. Like people were asking him questions like, what's your favourite food? And he would be like cereal. And then I think it was like something like, what's your favourite song? And he was like, all of them. And like, so nobody was really finding out anything about. But my point is, not to lay into to Hubie too much, but I sometimes can't be bothered. Like, if it's on the telly, if there's a better match around and Hurkacz is playing, I'll probably go for the other match because I do think it can be a bit samey, the Hurkacz kind of matches. So Vance is bang on the money there. Ghost with a bit of the left field comment of the day. Stefanos Tsitsipas is such a wimp. Fair enough, Ghost. We're all entitled to an opinion. Of course, there was that famous match at Wimbledon with Kyrgios last year. Both a bit of bad blood in that one. I think Kyrgios said he wasn't liked in the changing room, but who can really believe what Nick says half the time? But yeah, he's obviously liked. He's rocked up with a fellow professional player in Badosa. Apparently, he said the first. How does his mum feel? Apparently, he said the first. When he got with Paula Badosa, he said she's the first female I've ever respected, is what Stefanos Tsitsipas said. I wonder how his mum feels, him saying that. So Shelton 30-15, 4-all. I'm not going to say it again, but we're still to see a break point in this one. It's not been a bad match, mind you. Some decent rallies. But Shelton just no, I think that was a let. It looked like an ace, but I think the umpire called let. Yeah, I agree, Kathy. Are we referring to any particular crowd? Are we maybe referring to the Ultimate Tennis Showdown, as Ghost and I have? Did you hear that, Ghost? I've not made that up. I heard that again on a tennis podcast that he said this. Strange thing to say. I think he is a bit strange. Is that too far to say? It's just Tsitsipas. He's a funny lad. So yeah, apparently he said, she's the first female I've ever respected. He may have been. I don't know. I don't know how. I can't really excuse that. I don't know what he was meaning. But yeah, strange thing to say when mum's around. So Tsitsipas, it's 40-30 on the Shelton serve. And I'll try and see if I can find the quotes. And see. Again, I heard this through a third party. So I'll need to find it. We're an important part of the match, and I'll try and have a look for it. But yeah, so we're at juice on the Shelton serve. This is probably as close. Right, so I'm just looking at what John's put up. So I think the woman behind Tsitsipas was buzzing like a bee. God, tennis, man, it always throws up something. Shelton has put away a winner, basically, I'm trying to say. But what I was saying is he's avoided being the first player in what will be the 22nd game of the match. And he is staved off so far the break point, the dreaded break point, which we've not even seen a glimpse of. Steph doing well to get the juice. I don't know if he's been this far into the Shelton serve. He's on the Shelton second serve right now, and I wonder. I was just about to say Shelton is prone to throwing a double fault here and there. I said to John earlier on, he sometimes just maybe gets a bit carried away and goes for that second serve, and it looked a bit like that there. An important moment on the game point to kind of take the advantage. He loses this one, and Tsitsipas serves for the match. Tsitsipas block return on the first serve, but they're into a rally. But Shelton is leading the rally. It looks like that's clipped the line. Really strong forehand cross court. He was always building up to that angle. He was always in control on the point, in honesty. But it was probably closer than he would have hoped. I mean, even on the replay, that looked a wee bit out to me, but it was clearly in by the electronic call. So he's got game point again. The winner speed 97 miles an hour. Steph gets the ball into play. Really good forehand by Shelton. He surely puts it away. Shot choice was better this time. He does a little shuffle to celebrate. The crowd applaud. Nicely done. This time was the drop shot. Earlier on, I mentioned his shot selection was a little bit poor, but yeah, decent there. A drop shot with Tsitsipas on the ropes a little bit. So we go on 4-5. Tsitsipas to serve. Williams now at 1-all. And she hits the next. Looking a wee bit tired just by the replay there. And I wonder if her race is run. Hopefully not. Fingers crossed. Not. So anyway, let's have a look at what we're going to have a look at elsewhere around the Cincinnati grounds. So what else have we got here? Monfils has taken the first set against De Minaur. 7-5. That's a bit of a shock, isn't it? He's been playing some decent tennis, mind you, but De Minaur had a really nice couple of weeks. And Borna Koric is a 1-all with Hurkacz, and he has got game point on his serve. Of course, the defending champion here in Cincinnati, beating Stefanos Tsitsipas in a pretty mundane final last year. Let's be honest, pretty routine stuff. It was the win, not much flash about it, and he didn't need to be. I don't think Tsitsipas turned up in that one. So anyway, well, I'll try and see if I can find because I don't want to be accused of making something up. It might have been, I don't know if it was on Instagram or something, or it was definitely said that on a podcast that I was listening to, and I just thought, that is something I have to say. Respect. Nah, I mean, I can't see it. I'll maybe have a look at it on his Instagram and see if I can find anything. But we'll concentrate on the tennis rather than gossip, will we? The players are still going on. Shelton again for the third game in a row has took the first point on the Tsitsipas serve. Of course, if he wins this game, he wins the second set and levels up the match. And yeah, it'll be very much game on. Had a feeling though, you've had a feeling throughout that Tsitsipas is still playing within himself a little bit. But that might just be the way that I'm seeing things. Second serve, really nice forehand by Tsitsipas. It was badly timed return by Shelton, in all honesty. And Tsitsipas took control, and he levels up the game 15-0. I was going to say 1.0. I'm getting distracted by the Tsitsidosa stuff. First serve, Steph doesn't find its mark. Second serve, loading. Thanks, Ghost. How is no, I was about to open a can. I was about to say, how is the political landscape in the United States? But I think that's Pandora's box right now, isn't it? So I will leave that one there. Let's focus on the tennis, guys. Let's focus on the tennis. Be kind. Focus on the tennis. There, I've moved against ever so slightly, and my camera has jumped off, but I am still here. Really need to get this sorted. I will for my next stream. Where am I? There we go. Back again. Apologies again. And Shelton goes wild there again with the forehand. Don't know why John's pulled that one up, but I'll take it. There is Paula Badosa in the Tsitsipas box. And so Shelton has just went long, and we are at 5-0, 40-15 game there. Let's see where we are on the statage for these two. Both roughly at the 90%. Yeah, we're getting that drip, Fred, over here in the UK. But again, let's not open up a can of worms. Let's just stick with Ben Shelton versus Tsitsipas. Tsitsipas return hits the looked like it hit the net post of the net, and that puts Shelton firmly in control. Tsitsipas still manages to get it back, and Shelton puts away a smash. Williams really up against it now. Looking like she is. She is still in it. Still in 3-love down against Sheng in the third set. Won the first set 6-1, lost the second 6-2. She's a breakdown. But she was a double breakdown against. She played the other night. I know this as well. Not Bondrusova. Anyway, she was a double breakdown. I watched it as well. So where are we on the tennis? Is Shelton now 15-0. Tsitsipas will be going after this one. He doesn't want another tie break and giving Shelton the chance to serve his way to the second set. So Tsitsipas will be looking for the breakthrough here. Is that a double fault? It might have been a double fault there. We might have a 15-30 situation. I don't know if he's challenged this. Again, it looked like he went for that second serve. Literally no, it's out. It was just out, mind you. We're at 15-30. Pressure is ramping up on the Shelton serve. We'll probably ace this one here. Tried to go out wide, come into the net. Tsitsipas try to go high, and Shelton takes control. He's a good player, this guy, isn't he? Seems unfazed by the pressure. I do like. Do you guys say the cut of his jib? I do like the cut of Shelton's jib. Is that? I'm allowed to say that? I don't even know if that's derogatory in any way. Anyway, we'll move on. Shelton, yeah, good play there. Strong serve out wide. Now at the deuce court, I mean the ad court's where he's going to be strong with his left hand. But now at the deuce court, he's tried to go down the tee. He's missed that serve again. That serve looked a wee bit long. I think Tsitsipas thought it was as well. It wasn't, and the unreturned second serve gives Shelton the game point, and it will mean that he will at least be in a tiebreak for the second set if he can claim this one. And this one will probably go wide. He's back on the ad court. It does, but he plays it more into the body. It doesn't find its mark, so we've got a second serve. The camera angle changed ever so slightly. Oh, went that. And he sees it out. Game point. Game won by Shelton. He's still up for this one. He hasn't been disheartened by not really seeing any kind of breakthrough or any light at the end of the tunnel in terms of the Tsitsipas serve. So he will get at least a look at a tie break, possibly the second set if he can break here. And we have some Tsitsipas fans in the chat. Let's go, or Vamps, Tsitsipas, and Vamos. Yeah, so Vamos was what was wanting to be said. Okay, Shelton, is he getting looked at by the trainer? Which would be a worry, especially with the home slam just around the corner. Hopefully it's nothing too serious. It looks like it's a muscle strain of some sort on the right leg, around about the knee cavity. He's getting some work on there anyway, so it might be a medical timeout here, just as we reach the business end of the second set. Fingers crossed we don't see any sort of suggestion of a tie. I might always get worried when you see these players do this, so close to the Grand Slam. You look at Andy Murray, pulled out of his match just before against Jannik Sinner. Ab strain, ab issue. I'd said last Wednesday I don't see him playing in Cincinnati, and because he'll be focusing on the US Open, and that was indeed the case. No time out there. It's just a kind of the physical trainer was on. Shelton, did I see a look of disappointment there from the American? Who knows? Hopefully it's nothing too serious and we can see an end to this one. Tsitsipas serving to stay in the second set. We're just going on 3 minutes to 5 in Cincinnati. See, I've been making a note of the local time on the ground. So yeah, we have Tsitsipas serving to stay in this second set. Thank you, John. Yeah, the Shelton having a bit of work done on the right leg, round about the knee. And again, I just mentioned that because we are so close to his home slam, and he'll be keen to, like you say, pump up that New York crowd if he can make it. So he'll not be wanting to take any chances. He's very much in this rally. He's got come into the net really good. He's trying to wrong foot Tsitsipas, who reaches it, and what a overhead smash. He's already gestured to the crowd there. He's asked him to get up for him. That was a really well played point. No hint of any problem with the legs, but he was rushing Tsitsipas. He wasn't giving him any time to think about where he was going to go with that shot. He came in after a slice, which was the right play, forced Tsitsipas to rethink his strategy, and even when he did, Shelton had the answers. So love 15 for the fourth game in a row. Shelton has had the first point on the Tsitsipas serve, but that's as far as he's been getting. Tsitsipas has been serving his way out, and again he'll be frustrated. Shelton. It was a second serve. It was a tame second serve, and Shelton can only find the net with a backhand. Really, really poor. He'll be frustrated at that one, but he moves on. Next point. Very quick pace. This match has been played at an hour and 30 on, and we're at the end of the second set. Of course, we've went the full distance and both sets near enough now. 30-15 to Steph. Going into the second tiebreak of the match. No breaks a point. I reiterate that. No breaks a point whatsoever. Not inside. Tsitsipas puts it away. Shelton reads it. Block return. Tsitsipas goes for the smash. Went down the same route. Shelton had guessed right, but it was just too high. And some gentleman in the crowd will be hoping to pocket that Cincinnati Wilson ball. So 2 game points, 2 tiebreaker points for the second tiebreaker of the match. And we are in a tiebreak, folks. Tiebreak alert. So this match either has 5 minutes left or 10 minutes left, or possibly another 40 odd minutes. So it is bang on 5 o'clock in Cincinnati. And the sun is out. See, keeping up to date, make myself a local. And what do you call, somebody from Cincinnati, guys? Anyone want to enlighten me? From Glasgow, I'm a Glaswegian. So what is the term? Is it a Cincinnatian? Cincinnatian? Is that what you say? I don't know. Please do enlighten me, folks. Ghost, Kathy, Max. Somebody let us know. Rhea, she's not too far from Cincinnati. So Shelton wins the first point on his serve. A Masonite, Cincinnati. Masonite, is that right? Oh, Ghost. Always the antagonizer. Yeah, the score. Sorry, the score currently is 6-6. It's in the tiebreak. In the second set, Shelton has just basically claimed the first mini break, so he is 2-love up. So he is he's really pumped. He is really pumped. He's going to the crowd. He's trying to get them up for it. He's trying to get them involved. He knows that'll get under the skin of Tsitsipas, especially if one of them is buzzing a bee-like sound in his ear, which is at the end where he currently is, where Tsitsipas is. Rhea, you shouldn't have said that. I'd have believed you. So yeah, it's not a Masonite. If you're from Cincinnati, Tsitsipas wins his next point on his serve with a strong first serve. It's not an ace, but it's an unreturnable. Shelton tries a serving volley. Tsitsipas puts him away, makes him pay. Mini break back. Really nice play by Steph. Maybe the wrong tactic by Bell and Shelton. He tried to do the serving volley, tried to rush Steph. Steph's been about a bit, and he read it really well and put him away with a cross-court backhand. Really nice by the Greek. If he wins this point, the pressure will be really on to Ben Shelton. First serve, return, backhand, miss hit by Tsitsipas. Goes long, thought it was long, but it's not been long. It looks like Shelton's has now went long, and this one has gone long. And Tsitsipas claims the first two, or the 2 points on the Shelton serve to take a mini break lead, 3-2, ball in hand. Shelton will be frustrated there. He had control of the rally. Tsitsipas using an experience there, though. Kept on playing, and Shelton got away with one with the first shot, and then the second one, he put it long. Tsitsipas needs these 2 points just to really strong serving. He's claimed the first one. It's 4-2. The players will swap sides. Tsitsipas as well, going to get away from the buzzing bee ladies, and he's got a bit of a strut on him now. Shelton needs to get out of his own head and get focused back into this game. But Steph can see and smell the finish line now. It's 4-2. He's got the ball in hand. Another strong server. He'll be almost there. So 4-2 Tsitsipas. The players have taken a quick wee drink of a refreshment, so Tsitsipas in the driving seat to progress for a match against Ruusuvuori or Alexei Popyrin, who, of course, Popyrin won an event recently. It doesn't usually travel too well outside of Australia. Always has a good Aussie Open, that guy. But he has won an event recently. That sounds like a Ghost. That sounds like a Simpsons joke. You'd see that in the Simpsons or something like that, on a signage somewhere. As we end the end of this match, didn't go long by Shelton. Tsitsipas dictating play. Tsitsipas, I think Shelton, I don't know what happened there. It looked a bit odd, but I think Shelton, one of his backhands had went long. Yeah, there we go. We're seeing a replay. Yeah, it had been well long. Tsitsipas 5-2, firmly in the driving seat now. He will be looking forward to his next round match if he can see this out. 2 serves now for Shelton. Tsitsipas tried to guess he was going wide, but he's gone most of the time at the ad court. Shelton tried to wrong foot him, tried to second guess him, tried to go down into the body, but it went long. And now Tsitsipas drives a shot. It looks like Tsitsipas has got to the ball. Shelton is wide. Tsitsipas has 4 match points. I've got to be honest, body language is not my expertise, but it looked like Shelton had pretty much given up the ghost in that point. He'd come into the net. Tsitsipas knew he was coming into the net. Shelton picked up the volley and, fair enough, he retrieved it, but I didn't hold out much hope there. Tsitsipas, 4 match points on the Shelton serve. Good first serve. It's not a good first serve. It's just went slightly long. Second serve, Tsitsipas, I want to finish this here, surely. Into the body. Tsitsipas, strong forehand return. Oh, miss hit there. There's that miss hit that we spoke about. Shelton picks it up. Rally still goes on. Shelton has the net. It's game, set, and match. Stefanos Tsitsipas, 7-6, 7-6. No breaks of serve, no break point. But when it came to the tie breaks, the Greek had control from pretty early on in the match. So, guys, he will go on. If he says thank you to the crowd. No more buzzing bees from the elderly in the crowd. I don't know if that's me being unfair to those 3 hatted women, but listen, guys, I've taken you through the last few moments of Swiatek Daniel Collins. We managed to get Shelton. I'm sure he'll be around for a long time to come. Played well. As I say, I like the cut of his jib. But Tsitsipas progresses to face Rusevuri or Alexei Popyrin. We are going to wrap up pretty soon. It's 7 minutes past 10 here, 7 minutes past 5 in Cincinnati. I'm going to go and catch up with some of the tennis myself and then hit the hay. But listen, guys, I appreciate all the input. You guys help out, kind of make this stream what it is. Hi to the new members. Hi to the first timers. Hi to the veterans like Ghost and Rhea and Kathy. And I'm sure I'll catch you guys very, very soon, probably the weekend. All right. Take care, folks. See you later.